Hi, everyone. My name's Simon Camilleri. I'm here with Clinton LePage, one of the pastors at Bundoora Presbyterian Church. And today we're going to talk a bit about how to pronounce tricky words that you come across in the Bible when you're doing Bible reading. In particular, Clint is going to help us through thinking about how to pronounce Hebrew names. Before we begin, I thought before we get on to Clinton, I thought I'd give a little introduction. When I teach public Bible reading, the first principle we teach is clarity, speaking with clarity. And we talk about the pace of how fast or slow you speak, how clear you speak, your enunciation, things like that. But one of the principles we also talk about is pronunciation, which is about not just speaking clearly, but speaking correctly. Right? So I'll read a little bit from the manual that I've written. It says, pronunciation is not just about saying words clearly, but saying them correctly. Scripture contains concepts and words that you may not commonly find elsewhere, like atonement or righteousness. It also refers to places and people that come from cultures that existed thousands of years ago in parts of the world that may be quite different from your own. Because of this, you'll come across names that seem strange and difficult to say, like Caesarea Philippi, or the longest word in the Bible, which I'm not even going to. It's Meher Shalal Hashbaz, and that's probably completely wrong. And Clinton will teach me how to say that properly. Right? It's the longest word in the Bible. Finally, as the Bible was originally written in Hebrew and Greek, and Jesus spoke Aramaic, you'll even come across verses where the original language is used, like when Jesus says Ephatha. Yes, that's Ephatha. Or on the cross when he says Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. And so the preparation is the key to addressing words that are difficult to pronounce. I've always encouraged the principle of reading out loud in your preparation. And that's when you're going to come across these words that that are tricky to say and that you stumble over. And that will give you time to address them and think about them. And I would say nothing reveals a Bible reader's lack of preparedness more than them constantly stumbling over the pronunciation of words that they are clearly encountering for the first time, or maybe the second time, or at least the first time that they've read out loud.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 very basic sort of tips. So I'm going to hit you with those 4 tips, and then we're going to get into the deep stuff. So the 4 tips are, when you don't know how to correctly pronounce a word that you come across in your Bible reading, first and foremost, ask the preacher. If you're reading a Bible before a sermon that's based on a passage, ask the preacher how they will be pronouncing that particular word. And even if they don't know exactly how it's supposed to be pronounced, you can at least say it in the same way so it's not distracting. And there'll be consistency between the reading and the sermon. Second one is look it up online. Websites like Bible Gateway and others will have audio Bibles, and you can often click on the audio Bible and listen to how the word is said. The one piece of advice is sometimes pronunciations are region specific. For example, in Australia and England, names like Habakkuk, I think in America it's Habakkuk, as they say it later, and Isaiah or Isaiah, right? They're often differently pronounced. So if possible, try to get an audiobook that's from your region. So there's English if you're in Australia, or other countries if you're in there. The third one is seems a bit simplistic, but it is pick one and move on. Like if you can't find the exact pronunciation, when all else fails, give it your best shot. choose a pronunciation that seems correct, and from what we'll learn today, how best to say it. And most importantly, say it that way with confidence and consistency through the reading. Remember, we don't exactly have any recordings of how these words are originally pronounced. So as long as people know which word you're referring to in the text and you're saying it the same way the preacher does, and it's not distracting, it's not super important. What is important is that these tricky words don't become a distraction to the congregation. That's why stumbling over these words is such a problem. It breaks up the flow of a passage and draws everyone's attention to the sound of a word, which may not be important to the meaning of the passage. So don't let it be a distraction to you or your congregation. In your preparation, do your research, settle on a pronunciation, and then during your reading, just say it and move on. Just keep the flow going. And my fourth little tip is write phonetic notes. So if you've worked out a way that, this is supposed to be said this way, but the word itself on the page doesn't naturally remind you that that's the way to say it, what I do is write over, like I always print out the passage. One of the reasons why I do that is so I can write little notes. And so I might write above the word how it might be phonetically said. So I'll use the fact that we've got a whiteboard here. An example is, how is it actually said? Melchizedek, right? Now, if you've never come across Melchizedek, you might say it Melchizedek or Melchizedek, whereas it's, from my understanding, and you can correct me if it's not, it's Melchizedek, right? So the CH is a K sound. So I would actually write in my Bible, and maybe put it in brackets, I might put Mel, Melchizedek. Right? So when I come across the word, I see Melchizedek and I just say it like that. And I've practiced saying it so that I know how to say it properly. But that's a helpful tip. Once we've learned a bit about how to say these words, you can write notes on your reading to help you. So I'll rub this off and then we'll
leave it there because I'll comment on that later.
Lovely, fantastic. So Clinton, please tell us, why is this a topic that you've been interested in before or studied or?
It's great to be here, and I hope what we'll share today is helpful. It has been already, and what Simon has shared is such a great lead into what I'm going to say. So I'm not a Hebrew expert. There's people who know Hebrew language better than me, but I learnt some things from my Hebrew lecturer when I was at Bible college that have just stuck with me and really helped me, and I want to help people read God's word well, again, so that people aren't distracted by mispronunciations or stumbling over words. So I hope, it will be helpful because it gives me joy when I can just read a scripture and focus on the important parts rather than getting distracted by a mispronunciation. So it's great to be able to share with you today. So Old Testament Hebrew, I don't know if you know, it's called a dead language. It's not spoken anymore. There's similarities with, Aramaic. The letters are the same. Some of the letters in words and the vowel sounds have changed, though, even if the alphabet is the same in Aramaic. The names of people and places in the Bible, they're not always pronounced as they have been transcribed in English, which is fine. I'm not asking you to try and say them in Hebrew or pronounce them in the form of a language you don't understand. But as Simon had said, I want you to be able to have confidence to be able to pronounce them clearly and helpfully so that you don't hesitate and falter over every name. But if we pronounce them with some understanding of Hebrew, I think it will help us to read publicly God's word and pronounce words with clarity and confidence. My main point that I really want to communicate to you all is that it's helpful to think of pronouncing Hebrew names in single syllables. And to help us pronounce them, I'm going to hyphenate words, as you'll see on the board already. And so Hebrew nouns, they often start with a consonant okay? And then they have one vowel sound after that. Some syllables, they actually have a vowel sound only, like in the Hebrew name, you'll see up there, the Hebrew name Elohim. That's the name for God, okay? And so you've got the is a sound on its own, and then you've got the next syllable, the lo, and then the final syllable is him, okay? The actually in Hebrew has a silent consonant with it. You don't need to worry about that. So in Hebrew, you won't get a vowel on its own, but in English we do because there's a silent consonant there in Hebrew. There's actually 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. The first letter of their Hebrew alphabet and another letter are both silent. They normally have vowels attached to them, and only then the vowel is pronounced, at least in our case. Also, when translating into English, the translators sometimes have added extra vowel sounds to help us pronounce them. So again, you'll see up on the board the word or the book and the name Nehemiah. In Hebrew, it's actually Nehemiah is how you would pronounce the name Nehemiah in Hebrew, Nehemiah. But they've sort of replaced, I don't know if it was the Latin translators or the early English translators, but that last sound, Yah, is they've actually replaced the Y sound with an I, and it's become a separate syllable. So instead, we don't say Nehemiah, I'm not asking you to say that, but you'll see there's different syllables. So we would say Nehemiah, and I've just separated the syllables with a dash to help us in early days, help me pronounce them well. So the I has been added to help us pronounce it as an English name. So also we don't pronounce some letters very well. There's guttural sounds that you may do with your sort of sound like as if you're clearing your throat. And Simon picked up on this in the name Melchizedek, okay? So there's no ch sound. There's no ch as in church. There's no ch sound in Hebrew. If you see ch next to each other in Hebrew, it's always a k sound or even a k. Melchizedek. So it's got a guttural, you've got to sort of clear your throat sound to it. You don't need to pronounce a every time you say Melchizedek, but say it with a K instead of a ch sound is my point. So you don't need to learn to speak Hebrew. I'm just wanting you to help you pronounce the Hebrew names in our English Bibles well. So at our church soon, we're going to be going through the book of Nehemiah, and it's actually full of Hebrew names, people's names. Chapters 3, 7, 10, 11, and 12 are full of Hebrew names. So I initially want to help people at our church pronounce the names in the public Bible reading, but I hope what we learn today will be helpful in whatever, particularly passages of the Old Testament that you'll read. In the Christian Standard Bible, the translation that we're using in our church at the moment, in Nehemiah chapter 10, I'm going to read Nehemiah chapter 10 for you, and I'm going to pause for comments along the way. So you probably find it helpful now to open to Nehemiah chapter 10, preferably the Christian Standard Bible, so we can follow each other closely. And I'm going to, as I said, pause to give comments at different points to model this, pronouncing the names as one syllable at a time. So look at the start. Those whose seals were on the document, here in Nehemiah 10 verse 1, were the governor Nehemiah, son of Hakaliah, and Zedekiah. So in Zedekiah, the final syllable there, it starts with a vowel, A-H. Starts with a vowel, but in the Hebrew, it's actually a Y-A-H. So Yah, Zedekiah. You don't need to know that or try to pronounce a silent Y. My point is they're all one syllable sounds. Zedekiah. And keep going, verse 2. Sariah, so the AI makes the same sound as it would in English. Sariah and Azariah, and they're the A at the start of Azariah. It's pronounced on its own. It's again got a silent Hebrew letter, but the A is a single syllable for our sakes on its own.
Could I ask?
Go.
How do you often see? Where do people get it wrong? Like, what do people sometimes do where they might how might they say some of these words instead of using
So I think sometimes what we want to look to, because I don't want you to stress about where to put the emphasis on which syllable, but if you don't pronounce the A in Azariah as a syllable on its own, people can often then put
Azaria or something.
Azaria or
Okay.
Azariah. And so sometimes people will give emphasis to a different syllable because they've not noticed or understood that a vowel can actually sort of be a syllable on its own in this case. So the emphasis would be Azariah is how I'd say.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pronounce them slowly, and a bit later I'll speed up to normal reading pace. So I don't want you to model my pronouncing it in a stunted syllable separated.
Yeah, that would draw attention.
Exactly, that would draw attention. I'm just wanting to model to you how I separate the syllables, and then I'll model for you later how I read it more quickly. Yeah, good question, son. So can we continue at verse 3? Now, pashua, again, you've got two syllables, pash, and then hua, or her, pashur, Amariah, Malkijah. So with double letters, okay, you don't change the sound or pronunciation, pashua, okay? So you're going to say pashua, pashua. So, and we'll come to think about this like with names like Matthew with a double TH, but we'll get to that. Again, we've already touched on the k being a k sound, ch being a k sound. Melkijah, it's a lower pitch k, different to a higher pitch k. Sorry, k and k, k and k, doesn't matter. But ch has a k sound, k. And then keep going, verse 4. Hatush, Shebaniah, and Maluk. Again, the Hatush, there's a double T there. And now it's sort of pronounced twice in each of the syllables, like Maluk, okay? And whether you say Maluk or Malak, I don't want you to worry about that. Whether you're pronouncing a short or a long vowel sound, it doesn't really matter. Just pick one and stick with it, and again, say it confidently. And so whether it's a short or long vowel sound, don't worry about that. Verse 5, Harim, Meremoth, Obadiah. Now, we would say Daniel, but in Hebrew it's going to be Daniel, Gimnethon, Baruch. And the O in Obadiah, going back to verse 5, again, it has a silent letter. It's the same with L in Daniel. So again, just making clear that some syllables, it will start with a vowel or only be a vowel. And don't stress about where you're going to put the break in the syllables in your mind. Just think about there's got to be one sound at a time. Verse 7, Meshalam, Abijah, and Mijamin, Ma'aziah, Bilgai, and Shemaiah. These were the priests. The Levites were Jeshua, son of Azaniah, Binui of the sons of Henadad and Kadmiel, and their brothers, Shebaniah, Hodiah, Kalita, Peliah, Hanan, Micah, verse 11. Again, thinking about the vowels, you could say Micah, you could say Micah. Up to you, just pick one. Doesn't matter if it's a short or long I sound. And so Micah or Micah, doesn't matter. Rehob, Hashabiah, Zakua. Again, the C in this case is pronounced as a K. Normally pronounced C's as a K sound. Sherebiah, Shebaniah, Hodiah, Bani. Again, with Bani, you could say Bani. Bani, doesn't matter. Just again, make your choice. Beninu. So sometimes you'll see even when I'm pronouncing a short E, Beninu, not Beninu. But you could pronounce it either way. Verse 14, the heads of the people were Parosh, Pahath, Moab, Elam, Zatu, Bani. Again, with Zatu, double T, I'm trying to emphasize the T, Zatu. So I say it with a bit more force with the double letter. Buni, or Bani, Buni, Asgad, Bebai, Adonijah, Bigvai, Adin, Ater, Hezekiah, Azur. And now I'm going to pick up the pace a bit, reading it sort of at a pace that I would if I were reading it in my own personal quiet times or publicly. Hodiah, Hasham, Bezai, Harif, Anathoth, Nebai, Magpiash, Meshalam, Heziah, Meshezabel, Zadok, Jaddua, Pelatiah, Hanan, Anaiah, Hoshea, Hananiah, Hashub, Halohesh, Pilha, Shobek, Reham, Hashabna, Maasaiah. So again, notice the double A. I've said it with a sort of long A sound. Maasaiah or Maasaiah, something like that. Ahijah, Hanan, Anan, Maluk, Harim, Ba'anah. And just to model this a bit further, we're going to skip down to chapter 11. I'm going to read from verses 4 to 21 before maybe we get Simon to give it a go. While the descendants of Judah and Benjamin settled in Jerusalem, Judah's descendants, Athiah, son of Uzziah, son of Zechariah, son of Amariah, son of Shephatiah, son of Mehalalel. That's a bit of a tough one. I'd practice that one. Mehalalel, of Perez's descendants. And Maasaiah, son of Baruch. Again, there's no ch, it's a k, Baruch. Like in the word lock or echo, k sound. Son of Koholzeh, son of Haziah, son of Adiah, son of Joiarib, son of Zechariah, a descendant of the Shilonite. The total number of Perez's descendants who settled in Jerusalem was 468 capable men. Then these were Benjamin's descendants. Salu, son of Meshalam, son of Joed, son of Pedaiah, son of Koliah, son of Maasaiah, son of Ithiel, son of Jeshiah. And after him Gabbai and Salai, 928. Joel, son of Zikri, was the officer over them, and Judah, son of Hasanua, was second in command over the city. The priests, Jediah, son of Joiarib, Jakin, I should have said, and Sariah, son of Hilkiah, son of Meshullam, son of Zadok, son of Merioth, son of Ahitub, the chief official of God's temple, and their relatives who did the work at the temple, 822. Adiah, son of Jehoram, son of Pelaliah, son of Amzi, son of Zechariah, son of Pashhur, son of Malchijah, and his relatives, the heads of families, 242. Amashsai, son of Azarel, son of Azai, son of Meshilemoth, son of Immer, and their relatives, capable men, 128. Zabdiel, son of Haggedolim, was their chief. The Levites, Shemaiah, son of Hashub, son of Azrikam, son of Hashabiah, son of Buni, and Shabbathai and Jozabad from the heads of the Levites, who supervised the work outside the house of God. Mattaniah, son of Micah, son of Zabdi, son of Asaph, the one who began the thanksgiving in prayer. Bakbukiah, second among his relatives, and Abda, son of Shammua, son of Galel, son of Jeduthun, all the Levites in the holy city, 284. The gatekeepers are Akuk, Talmon, and their relatives who guarded the city gates, 172. The rest of the Israelites, Israel, priests, the Levites, and the Levites were in the villages of Judah, each on his own inherited property. The temple servants lived in Ophel, Zihah, and Gishpa, supervised the temple servants. You'll see that it's difficult. I stumble sometimes. If you stumble, don't get stressed and flustered. Just either say it again or just continue on. Again, as Simon has said, hyphenating the words to give phonetic pronunciation is really helpful. And I think too, when you've been doing it a while or with maybe years of experience, you may not need to hyphenate the words, but do it as long as you find helpful. And again, encouraging you to practice.
Yeah, I get the feeling that there's a rhythm to it. It reminds me of my Shakespeare training, learning this iambic pentameter, and there's some things that have a rhythm to it, and that once you tune your ear, which may take years of reading, but once you tune your ear, it might come much more naturally.
Exactly. And I think for me, imagining it like a Semitic, a Hebrew, or even an Arabic speaker would pronounce it, it's different letters, but trying to think, so it's going to sound slightly differently if you pronounce it. Well, and exactly practice, Simon. But I wonder, Simon, Nehemiah 11, verses 22 to 36, another section with lots of names. Are you happy to give that a go?
I am.
Read these out for us.
I am. Now, he told me I would do some reading, but I specifically said I wouldn't read the passage beforehand or prepare at all or anything like that, because this is the experience that you'll have when you first come. So we'll see how I go.
Thank you.
You should have a red buzzer that goes every time I get it wrong. Cool. And read from all the way down to over the page. I'll make sure I've got it clear for myself. Yes. Yep, lovely. That's Nehemiah 11:22 to 36. Here in a bit, just make sure I'm in frame. The leader of the Levites in Jerusalem was Uzai, son of Bani, son of Hashabiah, son of Mattaniah. Yeah, so that was the natural one where I'd make. In English, I'd read that Mattaniah, but yeah, Mattaniah.
Mattaniah.
So Mattaniah is Mattaniah.
Yep.
That's a great one where I would, the first thing I would do is do a stroke through the word between each of the syllables. Yeah. So Mattaniah.
So there's never an IR sound in Hebrew. The I and the IA will always be separated.
Yeah, okay.
Mattaniah.
So son of Mattaniah, son of Micah, of the descendants of Asaph, who were the singers for the service of God's house. There was, in fact, a command of the king regarding them, and an ordinance regulating the singers' daily tasks. Pethahiah, son of Meshez, so I would go probably Meshezabel.
Yes, or Meshezabel. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Meshezabel. Pethahiah, son of Meshezabel, of the descendants of Zerah, son of Judah, was the king's agent in every matter concerning the people. As for the farming settlements with their fields, some of Judah's descendants lived in Kiriath-arba.
You separate the I and the A in the next switch up. Kiriath-arba.
Yep. Kiriath-arba.
Perfect.
Some of Judah's descendants lived in Kiriath-arba and Dibon and their surrounding villages, and Jekabzeel,
You could say it with a J or a Y sound. So there's not actually a J. We pronounce it in English just like Jacob.
Yeah.
Or Hebrew people would say Jacob, but just say J. Otherwise, I think it will.
Instead of flipping in between being an actor on The Chosen and that's what it is. Yes.
So I would say Jekabzeel.
Jekabzeel. So it's that the Zeel is not Zeal.
No, it's not Zeal. Very separate sounds. Yeah.
So Jekabzeel.
Yes.
And its settlements in Jeshua, Molada. Oh, sorry. Yes, there was no I. Molada, Beth Pelet, Haraz Shual.
Hazar.
Oh, sorry. Haraz. No, I swap. That's this language to do that. Yeah. Hazar Shual.
That's it. Perfect.
And that's obviously not beer.
No.
But
Be'er Sheba. Say it quickly like Be'er Sheba.
Be'er Sheba.
Like the word bear, like the fairy bear,
Yeah.
Woods. Yeah. Be'er Sheba.
Beersheba and its surrounding villages. In Ziklag and Mekonah, and its surrounding villages.
Because again, you pronounce the C as a K sound. It's perfectly done. Yep.
In Enrimon, Zorah, Jarmuth, and Zanoah, and Adullam with their settlements.
Yes.
In Lachish, so that's another CH, it's okay. Lachish with its fields and Azekah and its surrounding villages. So they settled from Beersheba to Hinnom Valley. Benjamin's descendants from Geba, Michmash, Aija, and Bethel, and its surrounding villages.
Yes.
So one of the things I'm fine. I'll finish it first, and then I'll make this comment.
Please.
Anathoth, Nob, Ananiah, Hazor or Hazor, Ramah, Gittaim.
Yes.
Gittaim.
Gittaim, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. So I wouldn't have naturally have done it, but from what you've...
Because of the syllable, you got to, it's not the normal AI sound as in raise.
Yeah, and in English, you would just probably naturally read that as Gittaim.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Exactly.
So it's the Gittaim.
That's what it is. Perfect.
Hadid, Zeboam.
Yeah, same thing. With the AI earlier.
Yeah.
Now it's
OIM. Yeah, Neboam.
Principle. Yeah.
Nebalat, Lod, and Ono in Craftsman's Valley. Some of the Judean divisions of Levites were born in Benjamin.
Well done. So great job.
Now, imagine that being the first time you're getting up on the congregation. And this is why ministers need to give readers time.
Yes.
Imagine going, I've been at camps where people have gone, Stephen, could you read the passage for today? And they, sure. And as if it's just something that we don't need preparation for. So,
exactly.
And also I haven't had any, as I'm going through that, the first cold reading, I don't have any time to connect with the meaning, with the purpose of what's being said, why this list of names, what intonation, what conviction I'm saying it with. Is it just a list? Is there some important names to point out? So I can't engage with that until I've got my tongue around some of these words and can relax and say them, and then I can give other emphasis.
Engage with the meaning.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So before we finish, I wanted to read one more passage because it's often read and sometimes it's challenging for people, and that is Jesus' genealogy in Matthew chapter 1. Because it's just full of Jewish or Hebrew names, isn't it? So I wanted to read that to be of help as well. So if you, again, looking at the Christian Standard Bible, Matthew chapter 1 and from verse 1. An account of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham... Now, I'm just going to pause on that name. So technically you'd say the A is a long A, Abraham, okay? Abraham. But don't try to say it like a Jewish person, okay? Whether you pronounce the A as a short A, Abraham, just say it as I think people are familiar with it. We don't need to try
the
pronunciation.
Is, as much as we don't want it distracting in one, even authenticity can be distracting.
Exactly.
And there's that compromise of, I want to say this accurately, but if it's going to be overly distracting and draw it really into
familiar names, like David is how you pronounce David's name, David. But we'll just say David because that's what everyone's familiar with. Yeah, we don't want to be distracting. We want them to be able to consider the meaning of the text as we read well. So Abraham fathered Isaac. So again, you've got a double A. In Hebrew, it would be Itzhak, but don't worry about that. So Isaac, I would just say Isaac because that's how everyone says. It's a common name for people's children anyway. Isaac fathered Jacob. Jacob fathered Judah and his brothers. Judah fathered Perez and Zerah by Tamar. Perez fathered Hezron. Hezron fathered Aram. Aram fathered Amminadab. Amminadab fathered Nahshon. Nahshon fathered Salmon. So you pronounce the L salmon. It's not like that fish that we would eat, salmon. Not a silent L. There's no silent letters really when we're pronouncing Hebrew names. Salmon. Salmon fathered Boaz by Rahab. Boaz fathered Obed by Ruth. Obed fathered Jesse, and Jesse fathered King David. David fathered Solomon by Uriah's wife. Solomon fathered Rehoboam. Rehoboam fathered Abijah. Abijah fathered Asa. Asa fathered Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat fathered Joram. Joram fathered Uzziah. Uzziah fathered Jotham. Jotham fathered Ahaz. Ahaz fathered Hezekiah. Hezekiah fathered Manasseh. Manasseh fathered Amon. Amon fathered Josiah. And Josiah fathered Jeconiah and his brothers at the time of the exile to Babylon. After the exile to Babylon, Jeconiah fathered Shealtiel. Shealtiel fathered Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel fathered Abiud. Abiud fathered Eliakim. Eliakim fathered Azor. Azor fathered Zadok. Zadok fathered Akim. Akim fathered Eliud. Eliud fathered Eleazar. Eleazar fathered Matthan. So you'll see that word Matthan there. It's a double TH. Don't pronounce it with the first T being silent like Matthew, the name Matthew. We would say Matthan. So it's different from our Matthew name. Matthan. Matthan fathered Jacob, and Jacob fathered Joseph, the husband of Mary, who gave birth to Jesus, who is called the Messiah. That's the genealogy of Matthew chapter 1. I do hope and pray that this will be helpful for you in your public and private Bible reading. Friends, God bless you in that. And I hope God will continue to give us understanding of his word and help us to believe it, obey it, and speak it clearly for our edification and that of God's people.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Clint. And it's been really helpful to me. And I think the big principles is that, first of all, read your practice out loud.
Exactly.
Find those words that you might go, oh, I know I can read that fine and know what it's saying. We gloss over the pronunciation of words when we're reading silently. But then when we read out loud, we go, I don't know how to say that word. And give yourself the time to find those words. Ask.
Yes.
If it's Thursday and you haven't got the Bible reading and you're on Bible reading, bug your ministers to say, I need the passage, I need to prepare.
It's excellent. Understood. I welcome that.
Yep. And ask for your minister's help if there are words that you're finding tricky and things like that. And ministers, please be available to your Bible readers as they endeavour in this ministry.
Can I just say too, if it's about pronunciation, feel free to just call so that I at least can pronounce it back to you on the phone.
Yes, an email's probably not the best way
to work out the pronunciation.
And sometimes there has been times that I've even gone up I've only discovered it the day before, haven't had time. And so I've walked up to the minister or whoever's preaching and saying, how are you saying that word? And then they say it, and I write a little phonetic note. And so to keep that consistency.
Exactly. And that consistency between the reading and the reader and the preacher, just helpful, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, thank you. All the best for your preparation and for yours as you prepare.
Thank you.
Preaching on these tricky passages as well.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Simon.
Thanks.
Bye-bye for now.
See you.